What up, people? It's your boy Master Chudy out here with another review. So I went to the comic shop again. I thought that I tried some new titles that I thought I'd never touch. Um, I've seen Superwoman on the stands, and I don't know, even though Rebirth has been great, um, I never thought about checking this particular title out because I was like, Superwoman. There's already Supergirl. Do I really need to check out Superwoman? Even I haven't checked out Supergirl, but I thought that Superwoman was kind of redundant. But, I looked at it and I was pleasantly surprised. I was engaged with this particular issue. And I'll definitely be going back to catch up. So let's look into it. First off, the cover is, I think, pretty nice. First of all, Superwoman is Lana Lang, which I think is interesting. Give her something. Kristen Krug was okay in Smallville. That's all I gotta say. But the cover's pretty nice. She's breaking out. You can see Smallville sign breaking down and everything like that. And the arc is even returned to Smallville. Um, so we get a nice opening page right here. Um, Kay Perkins is the writer here. Stefan Segovia, Art Thibbert, and Hi-Fi the colors. So the cover was done by Ken Lashley and Hi-Fi. So Hi-Fi seems to they know how to color. It looks like. And Paul Kaminsky and Eddie Berganza are the editors. So here we go. So we see Lana basically saying like now. So it starts with the present, like my home, my sanctuary, Smallville basically. Ever since I was a kid, this town has been my haven. My neighbors were my friends, confidants, protectors. I was the same to them. Though I knew Smallville was home to many special people with many special talents to protect it, I've always had this anxious feeling that one day it wouldn't be safe, but I never thought I would be the one to put it in danger. So, very covering me. See that Lana is now looking at that. And so we see, apparently this guy, we see enough Superwoman. Remember yourself. Remember your morals. This is not who you are. So we see Lana, I think, apparently is bugged out on red kryptonite. And we see Lex Luthor. I recognize that arrogance anywhere. And we see that, you, Red Sun, I should have jailed you for the threat that you posed to Smallville. The second I found you had been experimenting with red kryptonite. So red kryptonite is obviously powering him, and it seems that because Lana is Superwoman, she has some Kryptonian DNA. So red kryptonite is known to increase the aggression of Kryptonians. All the negative aspects of their being or their personality get amplified. So we see that this guy Red Sun is saying sounds like you live in regret, you old friend. You should live free. And we see Lex, who's really taking on the superhero persona right here, his own suit, now claiming to be a Superman, I guess, saying, Superwoman, listen to me. I know the Red K is making you do this. He is making you do this. You would never do this on your own accord. Stop now or I will intervene. And then we get this beautiful shot of Superwoman Lana Lang here. I mean, it's so beautiful, very beautiful. And the red kryptonite aura seems to be surrounding her hands, and she just looks badass. So we see in her monologue, I hear it, the tiny voice of morality and reason echoing from some faraway place within me. I can't bring her close enough. Something else, someone else has taken control, and her voice resonates. So she knows that she knows what she's doing, but she can't help herself. It's like, I came here to find Amos Ames, Lex, to ask him about the source of my power. So do your worst, because I found it. So we go back to apparently the Lang family farm, Smallville, Kansas, a long time ago. And we see a young Clark Kent. It's like, morning, Lana. It's like, oh, you scared me. And so, they're just being, kids back in the day. And just talking about school. Like they're going to miss the bus. And she's worried about his secret being exposed. So it looks like Lana knew about his secret, even though there are times that obviously she wouldn't know. So they make it to school, and Clark is just doing his thing, helping out, being a good Samaritan as he was raised to be, with the glasses. And apparently, it would seem that Clark, Lana, and Lex all went to school because this red-haired dude is Lex. So it's kind of borrowing from themes from the Smallville show that I would recognize about all of them being in high school. Well, Lex wasn't, but they were all in Smallville. And we see that Clark here doesn't like Amos, which is the guy on the bike. So we see he's really irritating, and that Lex is like, that monstrosity is an eyesore. And Lana thinks that Clark is talking about Lex, and he's like, I'm actually talking about Amos. It's like, and she's like, what did Amos ever do to you? And he's like, don't tell me you like him. And it's like, what if I do? And she greets Amos, and she's apparently like, it's later in the comic. It said that she works on her father's tractor, so she knows a thing or two about engines. So she was like, so she greets him saying, "Oh," and he's like, "What's up?" And she's saying that your exhaust system is malfunctioning. That's why your bike is backing up. And he's like, "I gotta help you. I can help you with that, basically." And Clark is like, the bell's ringing, and she's like, "Okay, see you later." And listen, she's like, "Sure, later." So we get into class, and here this is a chemistry class, and here we get into some verbal jousting between Lex and Lana. So we hear that Lex, still Lex, is saying, "Miss Lang, I don't expect you to be knowledgeable enough about the molecular structuring of this compound to be able to debate me in." And she's like, "It's Lana. Lex, cut the crap. I just asked you a question which you did not answer." And he's like, "Are you questioning my authority as a TA in this classroom?" And Lana's like, "Oh, big whoop. You just lucked out because the other TA mysteriously got sick. I could have had the job." And the teacher's like, "You two please shut up," basically. And then we see Lex is like, "Don't blow this for me, Lang." It's like, "They do not insult my intelligence, Lex. You know I'm the highest scoring student when it comes to chemistry." And then Lex is like, "You were the one insulting me." So they were both like rivals in chemistry in high school, which is interesting. I think this gives Lana a lot more character than it did in the show. Even though I haven't probably been reading enough about Lana to give that opinion, but definitely more than the show. That she was more than just a pretty face. She was good at chemistry. And we see that the professor's like, "Look, enough. Accolades and systems aside, you're both making mockery of my classroom, and y'all got detention." And Lex is like, "Detention? You can't." And it's like, "Watch me, bucko." So they both get detention. So on the track meet, you see that Clark is like, "Detention," and Clark is like, "No, Lana's like, I know." And Clark is like, "But you never get in trouble." And she's like, "You're making it worse, Clark." It's like, that Lex Luthor, always talking to people like they're beneath him. What's his problem anyway? And Lana's like, "Will you slow down?" It's like, super speed is an unfair advantage. And he's like, "Okay, sorry, so I'm going to slow down." I also like the fact that Clark is not like trying to stay out of sports, basically, like how he was doing, I hate to bring it up, in the show. We see that Clark knows when to tone it down, and he still likes to compete, because that's what every dude who's built and loves sports wants to do as a teenager. They want to compete. So we see that Clark is worried about Lana hanging around with Amos. He thinks that he's a bad seed, to which Lana's saying, like, "Oh, I think you're being possessive." And she's like, "Clark, if you weren't so focused on being such a good guy all the time, you'd see there's a little fun beyond that big nose of yours." And Clark's like, "Possessive? How's that possessive?" And she's like, you think about it as I lap you, and don't think about speeding up." So we see that this Lana's acting a lot like the Lana from Superman the animated series. So Clark is trying to find a way to be with Lana. And I think that this exchange is very hilarious. It's like, so he goes to his teacher, like, "Oh, Clark, I didn't see you there." It's like, "Oh, hi, Mrs. Burnett. I'm just hanging out in the hallway, disrupting people." Clark, it's the middle of sixth period. Don't you have to be somewhere?" And Clark is like, and this guy desperately wants to go to detention. It's like, "Oh, yes, algebra, but I didn't feel like going." "Didn't feel like going? Well, I'm sure you had your reasons." And everybody knows, like, Clark is a good boy. And, like, it's actually baffling him. And he's like, "What? No reason whatsoever. Just being a slacker, a class closer, a delinquent." It's like, and the teacher's like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh, my dear child, you're much too good of a boy to be a delinquent. Let's let this slide, yes?" And Clark is like, "Okay." It's like, "Miss Bennett, you leave me no choice. Shakespeare is long-winded and boring," and that's what gets him into detention. insulting Shakespeare, which I found amusing. It's like, say what you want about my class, Mr. Kent, but you will not insult the bard. Detention? Thank you, thank you. So it's like, yes. So here Clark comes in expecting to see Lana at detention, but she's not here. It's like, Lana, you'll never guess what happened. I was minding my own business, and guess what? That kooky Mrs. Goodrich. It's like, Lex, where's Lana? She's supposed to be here. Must be a hell of a crush you got yourself feeling detention, Kent. It's like, what? No. And even Lex is like, really? Like, you forced yourself to get detention just to be with this girl. Like, man, you are crazy, bro. And Lex is like, I heard that what you did. Everyone was talking about in the teacher's lounge, how Clark Kent, the shining star Smallville, went off on a tirade against Shakespeare to sweet Mrs. Goodrich. It's like, tirade? It was one sentence. It doesn't take a genius to see what you're doing, Kent. If you want anything to happen with Lana Lang, you've got to put on your big boy pants and say something to her. It's like, you have no idea. You have no idea what you're talking about. She's my best friend. It's like, oh, now she's his best friend. It's like, if you're trying out that Amos Ames bad boy look by showing her how you can get a little wild too, then at least try to wear something less nerdy next time. It's like, you're the one wearing a sweater vest, man. It's like, nice. It's like, so where's Lana? Nice, hilarious exchange. That's some humor. So we see Lana. She was on her way to detention apparently. So we see Amos right here, the blonde guy saying, "Hey Lana, what's up?" And she's like, "Amos, hi, but I'm late for detention." It's like, and Amos is like, "Hey, I worked on my motorcycle during shop class, and you were right. The engine was running lean. How'd you know?" And she explains like, "My grandfather left engines, and we used to build them together before he died." And, he's like saying, sorry about your grandpa. It's like, it's okay. I'm really sorry, but I gotta go. I'm late for him. We see the classic peer pressure back in the day. Like, detention, yeah. You said that. Want to go for a ride? You're already in trouble, so why not come? And Lana's like, oh, yeah, you have a point. Let me skip detention. So, we see them riding on his bike, and we see Lana's like, yeah, I love this. Rides just like this, the one my grandfather and I rebuilt. And you want to see this baby outspeed Gramps? Like, only if I could drive. And we see that she's racing and everything like that. And it's like, this feels so awesome. I'm free. And you see Amos is like, slow down. It's like, no, faster. And you see that Lana is just going into it. And we see the red kryptonite make a little spark right here. It's like, no, faster. And you see that Amos is freaking out saying Lana. So we see Clark come in, whoosh. And the thing goes crash and they're about to go down. And we get this magnificent catch save. Clark gets Lana. And he's like, you could have killed yourself. And she's like, Clark, it's like, put me down. It's like, I didn't need you to save me. And he said, obviously you did. And then we see that he's even concerned for Amos. Like, Amos, are you hurt? And it's like, man, who did? Who? And it's like, nothing's broken. You'll be fine. Trust me. He's like, okay, you're good. It's like, back to Lana. It's like, what's the matter with you? Skipping attention? Driving recklessly? You put yourself and Amos in serious danger, Lana. And I don't even like it. He's like, yeah. So we see that Lana saying, you know what, Clark? That was the first time in a long time I felt free. No pressure to be the best, no expectations, and I loved it. Maybe I like this more adventurous, freer version of myself, not like he would know. And he's like, what's that supposed to mean? It's like, I told you months ago that I liked you as more than a friend. And you got all weird, so I moved on. Now I show interest in someone else, and you get all possessive, and I did not. It's like, maybe you're the one who needs to be braver. So we see that, you could have made a move, but you didn't. And there's a guy who's ready to make a move, and Clark is like, no, like, that's not how it is. And so we go further on, basically saying like, well, fine, maybe I do feel jealous, and maybe I do like you as more than a friend, and maybe I'm just nervous to tell you that. And finally, gets the kiss. Bam. But we see the red kryptonite is affecting Clark, where he doesn't feel well apparently, and she's like, what's happening? And the necklace is like burning him, and he asks what's it made out of, and she just says it's made out of some stone that her grandfather found, and she started wearing it because he misses him. And she's like, but it's never glowed before. And Clark's like, I don't think that's any ordinary stone in that necklace. And she's like, Clark, what is it? And we see her glowing with red power. And she believes that this red kryptonite gave her power. So we get back now to where we see Red Sun and Superwoman Lana Lang taking on Lex right here. And Lex is like, red kryptonite, it's not your source, Lana. It's only your agent of change, because you're with Red Sun and Red K monster. That's the only reason you are. And then we see that he punches down Lex. Enough, Lex. I wasn't confident in high school to fight back, but I am now. And we see that this is actually Amos Ames, the boy on the bike. And Lex is like, Amos, I've been watching you, but a human can't control Red K. And he's like, who says I'm still human? Who said I was still human? So clearly he doesn't believe he's human. Jack Kirby. So we see Lex getting pretty much pummeled. It's like, Lex, you have interfered. I am not to be controlled. I felt lost as a teenager, like so many things were controlling me, everything but myself. And when I wore that necklace after my grandfather died, I started to feel powerful again. Recently, when I realized my armor wasn't the source of my powers, so her suit apparently was giving her power before, which is why she was Superwoman. It's like, so recently, when I realized that my armor wasn't the source of my powers, I wondered if my long-term exposure to red kryptonite had something to do with it. And Lex is still getting pummeled. And so I sought out the only other human I knew who was also exposed. Turns out he was doing a lot more with it than you and I initially thought. And we see that Red Sun is lost to himself, like, ultimate freedom, ultimate power, and then Lex is like, you fool yourselves. And Lex just blasts Red Sun down, takes him down. Look around you. Do you not see the destruction you've already caused? It's like, you are not yourself. So I'm trying not to hurt you, but being in direct contact with red kryptonite is driving you further and further into madness. And we see Lana saying enough. And he's like, and she's about to come in to take him down, and then we see whoosh, bam, a red flash right there. And then we see the voice say, got your message, Luthor. Someone good has been corrupted by Red K, huh? It said corrupted and then some. She was about to go solar. And then we see a final shot of Supergirl right here. So she's like, your timely assistance appreciated, Supergirl. Bam. And she's like, how can I help? And then in the next issue we see the clash of the Superwomen. Bam. So we have Kara versus Lana. I really enjoyed this issue. I was pleasantly surprised. I was pleasantly taken aback. Like, I really underestimated the series, this issue, and thereby I think I underestimated this series. I'll definitely go back and read the previous 12 issues. I definitely give this a 8.5 out of 10. It gave good backstory, had great action, and I was generally entertained by it. It was very good. So once again, if you like this video, please like the video, please comment if you have any other suggestions, and please subscribe and hit the notification so that you can get more notified of when I release my reviews. Once again, I release these reviews for you, the people, because I want to give you these comic reviews and just give you what I believe, and maybe have a say in what you choose to read or not. So once again, thank you for this, and I will see you later.